Hi everybody, I hope you're all doing well. Today I'll be setting up my October planner pages. I'll be using Derwent watercolor pencils and some other writing utensils to create a haunted house theme in honor of spooky season. And I did decide last minute to add in some Archer and Olive Halloween stickers, so I will show those to you later. I'm starting here with the first full week of October. I already sketched in my basic shapes. When I use watercolor pencils, I start with the lightest color and move to the darker colors. I'm using color 210 cadmium yellow to color in the windows, which will be the 7 planning boxes, one for each day of the week. Then I'm going back in with number 210 golden yellow to create a bit of a darker glow along the left side and top of each window. I'm starting straight in on my weekly spreads because I don't create a monthly calendar spread because I don't use one. Since this is not watercolor paper, I used a water-based clear blender marker to activate the pigment to help prevent wrinkling and buckling. The dry time is also a lot shorter than if I used a brush and water. And these are Derwent Inktense watercolor pencils, so once the pigment is activated and dries, it's no longer water soluble and it should be permanent. I'm using number 2120 neutral gray to outline the shape of the full moon and to color in a tombstone at the bottom, which will be the box for notes. By outlining the moon instead of coloring it in completely, I can blend the gray in towards the center for a subtle gradient effect. Next, I'm using number 2010 sepia ink to color in the walls of the house. I am trying to lay down the pigment as smoothly and evenly as possible to try to minimize any streaks, although in this case, any streaks can add to the dilapidated look of the haunted house. And then I'm going in with number 2030 Chinese ink to create shadows under the eaves of the roof and under the windows. I'm using mostly grays and black and minimal colors to create a spooky mood. And in contrast, the yellow from the windows seems to glow. I purposely leave a lot of space blank on my weekly spreads. That is what I call my flex space. I usually use that space for journaling and memory keeping, but I could use it for habit trackers or whatever I happen to need that week. So if I don't have a lot going on in a certain week, I could just add more decoration. But at the end of the month, all of these pages will be completely full. Similar to traditional watercolors, I activate the pigments starting with the lighter color, then blending in the darker color. I'm coloring the roof with ink black, number 2200. I'm using the same ink black color for the top and side of the tombstone. This is the darkest watercolor pencil I'll be using for this setup, so this is the last color to activate. All of the weekly spreads for this month will have similar haunted houses, so I won't show the whole process for all of them. Now that the base colors are down, I'm using a 1mm Pigma Micron to outline all of the shapes and a bit of a broken line. I don't want it to be too perfect or neat. I'm also outlining some layers of rough shingles on the roofs. Then I'm using a Pigma Micron with a brush tip to draw in some long blades of dead grass around the base of the house. I didn't draw any grass in front of the tombstone, so it will hopefully look like it is in the foreground of it. I'm using a 0.5 Pigma Micron to write in the monthly header in a font reminiscent of the Nightmare Before Christmas font. Then I'm using a gray Papermate flare for the notes header on the tombstone. Flipping back a page in the notebook, the first 4 days of October will be on the same spread as the last 3 days of September, because I like to have all 7 days of a week in one spread. This is the last weekly spread of October. The last day of October is a Friday, and I prefer Sunday start, so the last weekly spread only includes 6 days. Next month, I will add the 1st of November to this spread. With all of the haunted houses done, I'm going through and adding the headers to each daily box with an orangey colored Papermate flare. Having the end of one month on the same spread as the start of the next month means I usually don't have space for a monthly title page. I also like to fit a whole year in one notebook, so I don't have many pages to spare. I just received these sticker rolls from Archer and Olive's Halloween collection, and I thought they went perfectly with this theme. I also printed these ghosts, bats, and bat cats on sticker paper. They are from the Archer and Olive Cute Bat sticker download I bought specifically because the bat cat reminds me of my cat Fig. Fig sometimes likes to make appearances in some of my videos, and I'm putting a little bat cat Fig on each of my weekly spreads. I'm also adding a couple of bats flying around the moon and creepy branches and mushrooms around the house. With the weekly spreads done, I will flip to the front of the journal where I have set aside pages for my health tracker spreads. I use 2 2-page spreads for each monthly health tracker. I'm trimming off the edge of the center page with a craft knife to create a Dutch door, protecting the pages underneath with a cutting mat. Then I'm rounding the corners with a corner punch. I'm turning the notebook sideways so I can add the header along the right margin, the same way I did the monthly headers on the weekly spreads. I don't really decorate my health tracker spreads, but I still like to have them coordinate with the theme of the month. Here you can see the tabs I created when I originally set up this notebook for the health trackers for the whole year. I like to have all of my health tracker spreads together for easy reference. Then I'll use the gray Papermate flare to write the numbers and first letter of each day down the left side. The Dutch door allows the header and the days of the month to be visible from any part of the spread. Along the top, I'm using the 0.5 Pigma Micron to create the brackets where I will list the things I want to track. My data will be organized in columns Each column is 2 dot grid spaces wide, except the last one, which is 3 dot grid spaces wide, where I track the low and high temperature for each day. The other columns will be used to track things like my sleep quality, what time I took my medications, pain level, etc. With the orange Papermate Flare, I'm drawing a line separating the days of the month from the data I'll be collecting. I'm also drawing a line between Saturday and Sunday to create a visual separation between the weeks. If you're interested in more information about how I use my health tracker, I have a video I will link in the description. Flipping over to the next spread, I'm using the 0.5 Pigma Micron to create a column on the left to log exercise and activity. The next column is where I list my AM, evening, and late medications, and the whole right page is for notes. The notes section is where I can write anything that doesn't fit anywhere else. A lot of the time I use it to document any discussions I have with my doctors. I'm using the orange Papermate Flare to separate the weeks in the exercise activity column, and I'm writing in the titles for each section with the gray Papermate Flare. Flipping back to the first page of the health tracker, I will fill in the first few headers so you can get an idea of how it will look. The top end of each bracket is at an angle, so it gives me more space to write on the line. I will fill the rest of the headers in at the beginning of October because I will sometimes adjust the things I want to track from month to month. With that done, we are ready for the final flip through. Starting with the first weekly spread, which includes the last 3 days of September and the first 4 days of October. The last weekly spread will eventually include the 1st of November. Then flipping to my October health tracker. Every day I will fill in the data under each column. Thanks for watching my video, and I will see you next time. Bye!